everyone, Kellen Brauer from RacerX back again with another race examination video from Thunder Valley, and we're going to start by talking about this wild 250 Moto 1 pileup from the get-go, because I want to break down just more or less how this all happened, how many riders were involved, and then what the aftermath of this was, because this one was brutal. So first of all, we're going to take a look at the overhead shot as these guys all get up and start rolling through this first corner again. Overhead shot, though, you can see it's pretty obvious that it starts right in this little mix right here on the far inside of the track. Two guys get together, and we'll talk about who they are. They kind of veer left and take a lot of guys with them, and unfortunately, because that group up the inside was so far ahead of everybody on the outside already, it really just kind of turns into a pinball effect that comes across the track and takes out a lot of guys going into this first corner. I want to, before we move on from this, I've heard a lot of people say that this is related to grates and grates equalizing the start, and yeah, to be fair, this is about as equal as it gets, aside from Kitchen, I think this is, who is just pulling ahead at the front right here. Everyone else is pretty even. Deegan gets away as well, but like, look at how close this group is in the middle going up the hill halfway. I think it's also a little bit exacerbated by the fact that there's so much of a gap established in the middle here, which means that the guys that were on the just inside of the doghouse are coming across the track towards the inside line here, and the guys that were all the way on the inside are coming, up the hill and funneling into this little line up the inside. So because of that, it just makes it more of like a funnel effect where everyone is really just going to the exact same spot at the same time, and they're all starting pretty much alongside each other because everyone got out of the grates really good. So that could be a factor for sure. But let's talk about where this all came from. So first of all, you're going to see this red machine right here. That is Chance Hymas, and he's riding a little bit of a wheelie. You can see he's actually got the bars turned, and he's riding this wheelie up the hill. And when he puts the front tire down right there, he's going to collect bars with Jet Reynolds. This is Jet Reynolds right here. So they're going to hit each other, and immediately it just shifts them left. They immediately get into Tom Vial. You can see Vial just kind of right here in the middle of this group. And then it just starts going all terrible from there. Gathers a lot of people coming across the track. Ferris gets into Hampshire. Hampshire gets into Tyson Johnson. And then I think Johnson hits Bloxham right here, and Bloxham goes flying in. And you can see how many other riders get stacked up. Voland runs Ferris over right here. Ferris is on the ground, and Voland's running him over. Shimoda got collected. Joel Rizzi's down. Obviously, Hampshire is still picking it up. And then here's the original group, which is Hymas, Vial, Bariz also got in there with Schwartz. And then Reynolds down underneath the bike, and then a lot of people running to start helping clean this up. So let's go back to the overhead shot so we can kind of break this down a little bit further and talk about a couple things. So first of all, like I said, this all starts right here. This is Hymas in the air already, getting kind of ejected from the bike and then coming across. One thing I want you to focus on is these two helmets right here in the middle. That's Ferris, that's Hunter Lawrence. So Ferris is the one that's kind of pushing this whole group to the left now, and Hunter Lawrence has to come to like a dead stop, and he actually collects, I think that's Voland, and then this is Shimoda coming in at the back of this group right here, and this is Ferris now taking his hands off the bars. He's getting dragged up the track with Hampshire dragging him along, and then you got Braswell, Lawrence, Voland, and Shimoda now collecting into this first corner. It's pretty remarkable that Hunter doesn't go down. It's a huge one for Ferris. Obviously, he broke his arm in that crash. Really hate to see that. But it's remarkable that Hunter didn't go down. He was able to get stopped and not get collected in this. But again, you can see Hymas puts the front end down, collects Reynolds, goes to the left, and just so many people got bowled into this whole thing. And it's really a shame how many guys got ended up getting hurt from this. Ferris broke his arm, like I said. Reynolds is dealing with some issues, I believe, with his shoulder, and he's going to be out this weekend at High Point, but we hope to maybe see him back soon. And then a lot of guys also got bad starts, and then Vial ended up crashing late in this moto as well. So tough break all around, really big first turn accident, and hopefully we don't see any more of those this year. Quickly talking about the start of 450 Moto 1, which we did see another first turn accident, but this one was way more subdued. The reason why I wanted to bring this up is because it's actually Ty Masterpool that starts it, and Masterpool had a great day. He ended up going 5-4 on the day for 6th overall, but he's the one who starts this chaos in the first corner, which has Jeremy Hand, Jose Butron also down, a lot of guys getting mixed up. And this one was weird to me because I thought maybe he clipped the rear tire of Cian Cerullo or somebody else coming into this first corner, but as far as I can see, he just is going to lose it. Like right here, front end slides out all by himself just in the middle of the pack, and then a lot of guys stack up behind him. Like I said, Butron and everybody else getting in there. Weird crash to me because there's nothing really that describes it, I guess, other than that he just maybe found a weird little notch in the ground and lost the front end right there. So Odd crash for Masterpool in the first corner. A little bit later on that first lap of 450 Moto 1, Ferrandis and Plessinger got together big, just coming down towards the finish line jump here. And this was two lines that unfortunately just came together, and neither rider was really aware that it came together to the level that it did. Plessinger was just taking more or less the same line that the rider in front of him was taking, while Ferrandis was trying to square off the corner. And then when he came out of the rut, he realized, oh, dang, Plessinger is already there. So we're going to take a look at the replay here real quick and kind of break it down. But it really just boils down to one big rut that notches back the other way. So Plessinger is just going to follow Noren in and basically take the same line that the 47's taking. But you can see this line that Ferrandis is in notches back and goes this way, whereas Noren is going to go to this inside rut right here, I believe. And Plessinger is kind of arcing this corner through, and he's going to hit this rut. You can barely see it right here that funnels out over this line. So when Ferrandis hits this notch right here, he pops out of this corner, sees Plessinger's already there. He's trying to turn back to the left and stands it almost completely straight up, but it's too late. Plessinger's already there. They hit each other, and it's actually a pretty large crash for both of them. Ferrandis gets kind of laid into the ground, and then Plessinger has Ferrandis' bike lay up on top of him, and then woof, Max Miller just barely missing Ferrandis right there. But Plessinger even said that this was just a complete racing incident. Two lines that they didn't realize were going to come together did, and then bam, they get together. Big crash, and fortunately they were both able to get up and charge forward. Plessinger actually did a really good job to charge forward after this one, and ended up in fourth in the first moto.
I want to remind everybody that this video is presented by onX Off-Road. Know where to go with the #1 off-road GPS app. Access 500,000 plus miles of trails and roads, open dates, and public lands. Use the code RACERX, that's RACERX, for 20% off when you download the onX app today.
Moving on to our second motos from Thunder Valley, it got started right away with Justin Cooper on the first lap ahead of Hunter Lawrence, going down in a pretty awkward little crash right here as he kind of rode the nose and eventually sort of went over the bars. So this all happens with a cross rut situation. We'll kind of break that down in a second. But first of all, this little nose ride that he did right here, it's interesting. He's riding the nose and he starts to shift his weight backwards. I think there's a chance he saves this if he's not falling to the right side of the bike. Like he's starting to lean to the right side of the bike right now. The leg kicks up and goes over, and then the bike kind of slides out. There might have been a chance if he could have just kind of leaned back and started trying to plant his feet back down that he might have saved it. Pretty close call in the end for him not to get ran over by Hunter Lawrence, who just skirts off the inside of the track. Weird little crash, like I said, but let's go ahead and go back and kind of break this down just real quick how this happens. So as he comes over this rise, he's coming off of a section of the track that the track crew had tried to clean up in that little 15-minute intermission, and there's a lot of ruts right here. So when he lands off of this, his his front tire goes into the right rut, and his rear tire lands in this kind of left rut right here. So he kind of already high centers, and then right here, because of his weight shift, he starts leaning back to the other way, which is the left side of the track, and then the front tire grabs in between two ruts and pretty much comes to a complete stop, stands him up, rides the nose down the hill, and then ends up falling down. So a weird crash for sure, but that's just sometimes the way it goes when part of the track has been cleaned up. You can see how clean the face of this jump is. The track crew did some work, and then other parts have not been cleaned up, and then Justin Cooper found himself in a weird spot right there, landing in some ruts that he didn't realize were going to be right there over that jump. Lastly, I wanted to talk about this save from Grant Harlan. It was our MIP save of the day, but I don't think it got enough credit as it should have, because this save is pretty darn remarkable the way that Harlan's able to pull this together. He's got Jeff Walker right behind him coming through this first corner here as he's battling Adam Cianciarulo. He's going to kind of lose the rear end and start just doing this like two-wheeled slide thing. Walker's going to see that he's sort of going down in front of him, so he's going to back out of the challenge, but Harlan lets go. His arm is his right hand right here lets go of the bike, and he's starting to put his hand out as if like, I'm about to fall, so I'm going to brace myself from impact here and not actually hit the ground too hard. And somehow, some way, I don't know if it's because Walker like hits him and stands him back up, but you can see them kind of gathering each other at the top of the hill right there. Somehow Grant Harlan kept that thing on two wheels, was able to grab back onto the bar, pirouette back around. Even I like Jeff Walker even looking at him like, dude, how the heck did you save that? Like looking over at him. Unbelievable save by Harlan. Last lap of the race, so he ends up getting 7th when he maybe could have gotten Cianciarulo for 6th at the end. But pretty cool stuff there for Grant Harlan.